Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess if you guys are new here, and I thought this week we would do like a what I realistically read in a week. I feel like I've done other types of like challenge videos before where I try to like figure out based off of my screen time from the previous week I'm supposed to read X amount or whatever it may be. But this week I thought I would just see how much I actually typically read, because I think from experiencing all of those challenge type videos, in my head I think I read more than I actually do, which is kind of funny. I don't know, I just thought it would be a fun little like, let's keep track of how much I'm reading. So I was just reading Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is a reread. I mentioned this in my last reading vlog, so I won't give like full thoughts. I really loved the reread. I rated it 5 stars a second time. The first time I read this, I rated it 5 stars. I liked it, but I don't think it was like my favorite Emily Henry book. And upon the reread, I am obsessed with this book. I love the characters. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. But because I already talked about it in my last vlog, I didn't want to dive too deep into it this vlog. So it is the end of the day on Monday, and I will be doing this video Monday through Sunday. But I thought I would start with like how many pages I read in this book, and then we'll continue forward in whatever next book we read. I started today on chapter 26 of this book, and that is page 273, and I finished it just now, so that is page 373. Are we serious? That worked out so perfect. Okay, well then that means I read exactly 100 pages of Book Lovers, which is really easy to remember. I'm trying to decide right now which book I want to pick up next. I'm trying to decide between a Vari McFarlane novel, because I've never read any of her books and I've only heard amazing things. I also have a TBR that I would really like to get to. And then I also got Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney delivered to me from Libby just today. So I thought that would also be a fun one. So I'm trying to decide which one I want to read. So I'm going to quickly look up the different synopses on Goodreads, and then I will let you guys know which book I end up reading and how much more we read for the rest of today. Okay, update. I think I've decided I want to read Between Us by Vari McFarlane, because both of these books I have on my Libby app, but Between Us is due in 10 days and Beautiful Ugly is due in 20. So one, I need to return it sooner. And also I just feel like after reading Book Lovers, it's kind of like what I'm in the mood for. I've heard that Vari McFarlane novels are like, I feel like the way that I've heard them described is similar to like Emily Henry, where yes, it might be romance, but also it's other things, and kind of in the mood for that. I was pretty excited about Beautiful Ugly, but then I shouldn't have done this, but I looked at some of the ratings or like the reviews on Goodreads, and some people said that it was kind of slow, and I kind of want something fast-paced, and everyone who's read Vari McFarlane's books have mentioned how fast-paced it is. So I think I'm going to start with Between Us. If for whatever reason I'm not into it, I can always switch over. I've been wanting to read this book for a really long time too. This is my second time renting it on Libby, and I don't want the borrowing to lapse. Whatever it's called. What do you call that? Checking out? Whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. I don't know if I'm brain dead or like why I can't think of the word I'm thinking of. But anyway, that's what we're going to start with. I don't know how much we're going to read, so we'll see. But I'm just going to like do that for the next like hour before I go to bed. I'm pretty awake right now, which is kind of nice too, because I'm not like ready to go to sleep. So I probably have a little bit more than just the 100 pages in me in terms of my reading. So let's get to reading Between Us, and I will update you guys on my thoughts along the way. I don't really know what I'm expecting. I've never read anything by Vari McFarlane, but I have a feeling based off of reviews I've heard, she seems like a great author, and she seems like it might be another favorite, especially like because I'm up to date on all of my Emily Henrys. I am kind of excited to find a new author like her, where it's like romance, but all these other feelings and emotions and sometimes sad subplots too, because I like that. I'm excited for it. Okay. Actually, before I start the Vari McFarlane novel, I don't know why I want to read this book. I have had this on my bookshelf probably since I was a kid. This is a YA novel, and it's about a girl who's just like a part of a happenstance murder scene from what I understand, and then she just like again happens upon this murder scene and it turns into a mystery, but it's called Down the Rabbit Hole. I remember picking this up as a kid because I was obsessed with anything that had to do with Alice in Wonderland. I hear that just like based off of reviews, that the connections to Alice in Wonderland are a little bit superficial. I'm sure I would have loved that as a kid still, but I have had this on my list or like on my bookshelf for like literally I don't remember a time when this was not on my bookshelf. I still have it dog-eared on chapter 7, page 85, but I mean, like, it's truly like, look how small the pages are, and like look how few words are on each page. I don't know, just for some reason ever since I put that like pile of books on the side of my bookshelf of like all of the books that I want to read or that I haven't read that are on my shelves. I feel like I've been like more excited to pick up the books that I've just like seen on my shelf for a really long time. So I do want to pick up the Vari McFarlane one, but I think first, I don't know why, but I want to pick up this one. I think I was really wanting some kind of mystery novel, so we'll see how this goes. I'm just gonna start this one for now. It's so small. And I think this is a series, if I'm really into it. There are a couple others after this. Let's try it out. I remember trying to read this recently as well, like 5 years ago as well. And at the time, I don't remember what else I was reading, but I just like was more interested in the other book. So I paused on this one, but I always wanted to come back to it. Like the story itself seems good. So let's give it a shot. Let's see how much we read. I haven't read anything after finishing Book Lovers yet. So let's just get right into it before we head off to bed.
Down the Rabbit Hole, and I'm now on chapter 4. I read 36 pages of this book last night, so I read a total of 136 pages yesterday, which I don't feel like is terrible. I did have yesterday off, so maybe I was able to read a little bit more than I normally would, but I didn't read like during the day a ton. It was mostly like in the morning and at night, which is what I normally do on any other weekday. So anyway, chapter 4 basically so far with this book is this girl. She's super young. Her name is Ingrid, and she's really into soccer. She has not optometrist, she has a dentist appointment, and she goes to get her like teeth checked, and then her mom or her dad is supposed to pick her up to go to soccer practice, but nobody's picking her up. And so she's like, what's going on? So she's like, you know what, I know my way around town and I'm just gonna walk. So she goes to try to walk, but she gets lost. She ends up in like kind of a rough part of town, but it's such a small town that like everything is relatively safe according to her. This one girl just sees her, this one woman sees her and is like, hey, I'll help you, I'll call a cab. She obviously gets in trouble for all of this and whatever, but the next day she is hanging out at home and she's like had her whole school day and the whole thing. It's Friday, she's kind of relaxing at home, everyone else is out of the house, so she has the house to herself and she's going to check the newspaper. When she opens it up, she sees that the woman who helped her by getting the taxi cab is found murdered. So that's where we're at. From what I understand in the blurb, I think she accidentally left her shoes at that woman's house too. So pretty intriguing. I'm gonna keep reading. It's definitely like the concept is intriguing, but the writing is definitely young adult, and I would have ate this up when I was younger. But now it's like, it's a little different. But I feel like I'll read it fast just because of the nature of the book. So let's see how much I get through today and if anything crazy happens, because I don't think I've ever read beyond chapter 7. I'm laughing so hard right now because there's a part, you can tell this book was published I think in like 2006, and it's obvious because there's a part, for example, our main character is talking about her best friend's like entertainment system that her dad made, and it's like, oh, it's so kick-ass. It has a 42-inch plasma screen with corduroy couches. It's just like, that's so 2006. Like that makes perfect sense for the time. Anyway, that just made me laugh. Okay, sorry, one more thought. So I was looking at the back of this book. Again, I know that this book is a series, but I'm like confused because if this book was published in 2006, I would have been in like, oh sorry, it was published in 2005. So I would have been in like 5th or 6th grade. The synopsis for the second book is back here. I'm just gonna read it to you guys. Like this feels not YA. Okay, so it says, like her idol, Sherlock Holmes, 13-year-old super sleuth Ingrid Levin Hill notices things that others don't. In the second book in the Echo Falls mystery series, Ingrid outwits a kidnapper to discover who's trying to force Grampy off his land and uncovers the secrets surrounding a local steroid ring. The part with the steroid ring just felt so out of left field. I don't know if you guys felt the same way. That was kind of like random to me. I don't know. Anyway, a lot of pieces of this book feel that way as well, where like I feel like they're talking about things that would have gone way over my head when I was trying to read this years and years and years ago. So maybe it's a good thing I'm reading it now, but I'm surprised that this is what is YA. Although I know there's a lot of books like that that are technically YA, but they're a little adult. You guys, this book is like kind of like hilariously crazy. There's a part where our main character Ingrid, I think at this time she's 12, and she is really into Sherlock Holmes. Her shoes are at the house of the woman who was killed, and so she's kind of internally panicking, and she's like calming herself down, and she's like, okay, what would Sherlock Holmes do? And then it's like, he would do cocaine, but that's not an option for me. How is this a YA novel? Like, what is happening in this book? Anyway, I don't know how this is gonna progress. It's intriguing to say the least. Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a really fast read for me because it's just like, I also don't know if like the page count is actually accurate because it's technically 400 pages, but you guys saw how big these pages are. Like, this is not a lot of words per page, so page numbers are just all relative. It's going a lot faster than like what a normal 400 page novel would be, and obviously because it's supposed to be YA, like just the writing in general is a little bit easier and like faster paced to read. So I do enjoy that because it's YA, I'm sure is why it does this, but it just jumps right into the story and gets like right to the meat of everything, so that's really nice. And I'm surprised to see that Stephen King actually like put a blurb on here that says my all-time favorite, astonishing. So I want to see what he sees in this book because it's a little different right now. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm gonna keep reading and I will update you once I know how much I read today. Okay, I am on my lunch break and I'm currently reading A Court of Silver Flames. I still am reading Down the Rabbit Hole, but this is one that I have been meaning to get to for a while and I just haven't because it's intimidating and like 800, 750 pages. That's a lot. So we're gonna take this one slow this month and I'm gonna do the thing where I read like a couple of pages per day basically, but I just started it and I'm still on chapter 1. I thought it was funny though, this is all told from Nesta's point of view, which is our main character in this series, her sister. If you guys don't already know, like this is an entire series. This is the 5th book in the series. Well, there's 4 books, but one of those is a novella. So it is the 5th book, but it's like also kind of the 4th book. But a big war has happened. We're like post-war now in this book. Something interesting though is that the entire series, our main character Feyre, she's just kind of like ousted by her family. Like she's expected to sort of like take care of them, and her sisters don't really have any, I don't want to say not remorse, but what's the word that I'm looking for? Like they just kind of expect her to take care of them and like know how to do everything. And I don't know, it's just like they kind of badmouth her behind her back. And it's interesting because now I'm getting Nesta's point of view and she's talking about how she feels like the black sheep of the family. And I'm like, wait a second, that is literally from all of the other books. You, Nesta, have treated Feyre so poorly. Like how could you even possibly think that you were the black sheep this whole time? Like what are you talking about? And I don't know if it's just been a really long time since I read this book, but that just doesn't add up in my brain. So very interesting. But I'm almost on chapter 2. Technically that is where I need to like end for the day, but this book is so much easier to read than any of the other books that I typically do this like a couple of pages per day type thing with. Usually I do that for like classics or something like that are just like harder to read. This I'm doing just as like to get me into the story, and then if I'm enjoying it I'll keep reading, and if not then I'll have another book on the side too, because this doesn't need to be my main book unless I'm like that into it. I have a feeling this is not going to be my favorite book in this series. I've heard that this gets really smutty, which is not really usually my taste for reading, but I do want to know how the story continues and progresses, so that's part of the reason why I'm picking it up. So I've heard that you can look up online like what chapters or pages to skip so that you're not just reading like chapters long smut scenes. I may do that, or I might just skim when they come through. I just feel like I don't need, like, if a scene is like a page or 2, fine, but like I've heard that it's like multiple chapters sometimes. I don't personally feel like that's necessary, and like especially when we have 750 pages, like we can just take out some of those chapters in my opinion. So that's what I'm gonna read. I have a meeting in about an hour, so I'm gonna read a little bit longer and then I'll get back to Down the Rabbit Hole later tonight as well, just so I can continue to read both of them. But so far basically I'll read at least 25 pages of this book, and in this book I'm on page 74, and I think I started on like 36. Yeah, 36. So I've already read almost 40 pages of this book. But again, these pages, look at the difference in size. This is what I mean. This is a much smaller book than this one. I don't know. We're just gonna like see. Maybe I'll like try to find this on Kindle and then like see how this stacks up with Kindle pages, because I just don't feel like this is the equivalent of a 400-page book. Those are the thoughts. I will continue to keep you guys updated on how much I'm reading, but I feel like I'm doing a pretty okay job today on reading and like keeping on pace with how many pages I'm trying to read per day. Hello guys, it is Wednesday today. To recap on everything that I read yesterday, I read A Court of Silver Flames, only 24 pages. I'm trying to read like 25 or so pages every single day. The chapter ended like where 25 starts, so that's why I read 24. And then I read in Down the Rabbit Hole from pages 32 to 97. So that together with A Court of Silver Flames is a total of 89 pages. And I decided that I'm actually gonna go based off the pages in the Kindle edition, only because I really still don't feel like this is like a 400 page plus novel. This one is like, I think 370 or 380, and that feels more like it, which it's really only like a 30 page disparity, but 30 pages is almost an hour of reading for me, so I want to be as fair as possible. So Monday we did 132 pages and Tuesday we did 89. 89 feels more like what I actually do, but on Monday I was feeling very confident and being like, see, I like read more than I expect because I didn't even read during the day, but I don't think that that was accurate. Like, I don't think I read over 100 pages in a given day often. Like, I'm right there, but I'm not doing it. Anyway, it is currently 7:30 a.m. I don't start work until 8:30, so I have a little bit of time. I'm gonna make myself a latte and I'm gonna get back to reading a little bit this morning. Then we'll read a little on our lunch break as usual and after work too. Which is like just our, oh, that's the other reason why I didn't read a lot yesterday. I ended up watching Dune, which was so good. I watched Dune part 1. There was only like one little snippet that I had not read about, but everything else I read. And at first I was saying like, I don't know how they're gonna make this a movie because it felt really slow when reading it, but the movie is so good. Like, I really, really liked the movie a lot. I'm very excited for Dune part 2, but that's also why I definitely could have read more yesterday, but I did not. Anyway, those are the thoughts. I am gonna make my latte. I just got some new hazelnut syrup, so I'm very excited. It's like my new hyperfixation is hazelnut lattes, warm. So I'm gonna make one of those and get to reading for a little bit before I have to start work. Okay, I'm about to go get ready for work. Actually, let me close this because the lighting is weird. There we go, that's much better. I can actually see you guys. Down the Rabbit Hole, I'm still reading. I'm now on page, I guess it's hard because I don't know what page I am in the Kindle, but I'm on chapter 10. A couple of funny things about this book. The mom in this book is a real estate agent and she is very excited right now because she's trying to sell a house and it's going for $330,000. And I'm like, that's how you know this was written in 2006. And two, it's so funny. I think that this was like a thing at the time. Like, I don't know why this was, but the girl, Ingrid, she's our main character. She kind of, it's like a really like small subplot, but her and this boy, Joey, have kind of like a crush on each other. Like, they've barely talked, but it's kind of like he'll call her and just be like, hey, how was your day? Okay, cool. I'll talk to you later. Like, that's it. But his dad conveniently is the chief of police and she's out in like the woods behind her house and she runs into them. And she's like, what are you guys doing out here? And Joey is like, oh, my dad's working and like trying to figure out who murdered this person, but I'm just like tagging along. And I don't know why this was a thing in like the early 2000s in like movies, TV shows, books, where kids would just tag along to like murder investigations with their parents. Like, that makes no sense. Or like, I remember this distinctly too in like Pretty Little Liars. There would be like a sergeant and then their kid would know everything about the case, which is like, that is just not how that works. So that was kind of funny too. But she's just kind of putting herself in a lot of situations. Like, she's just like making it worse for herself. Like, she left her shoes at the house of someone who then ended up murdered. And instead of like telling somebody like, hey, I was at her house, I know I shouldn't have been there, that's my beef, my shoes are there because I accidentally left them, she decides to like go and steal them back. And then she gets caught and then she's running away from the police. And so now the police are looking for the person that was running away from them because they think that person's the murderer. And it's like, she just keeps putting herself in these situations instead of just talking to somebody, which I think, again, like as a story, it makes it fun, but this is just like very 2000s core type book, like especially YA mystery book. It was like always this, like, they think I'm the murderer, so now I have to figure out who it is, which is kind of funny. I did feel a little bit of that same sensation with Good Girl's Guide to Murder, where it was like the kids were too involved in like a real life situation, but for some reason it worked in that book for me. Like, it didn't feel, I don't know, it felt like she was doing something because she was at her wit's end and nobody was helping her, where in this book it feels more more like she's just making poor decisions, if that makes any sense, or if like that difference makes any sense. I don't know, but I only read for like 30 minutes. I'm gonna go take P on his walk now, and then probably have to sign on for work after that. But I am excited to read more. Like, I think I'm at a point where I have not read any further than this. Like, I think I've only really gotten to maybe chapter like 8 or 9 in the past. So all of the future pages are new content to me. And I thought that I would kind of be like over this book pretty fast, but surprisingly, I am enjoying it. I think it's fun. I think it's just like a quick, easy read. It's like very brain off because it's YA. Like, the language is very easy and simple. And so I don't have to like overexert myself or like think too deeply about it. So I'm like flying through it, which is really nice. Today we'll see how much we get through, and I don't think I'm gonna watch Dune Part 2 today, so we'll hopefully have fewer distractions on that front as well. Anyway, those are the thoughts, and let's go take P on his walk and get ready for work, and I'll continue to update you guys on other thoughts on this book. Sorry, my hair is wet because I just showered, but what can you do? I don't feel like I read that much today. I started on page 97 for Down the Rabbit Hole, and I'm now on page 113. I've read like 15 pages, which is like crazy that I've done nothing. And then for this book, I've read almost 10 pages. So I read 25 pages today, like really nothing. I don't know why I have kind of read a lot of nothing today. I guess I read a little bit in the morning, but I didn't read like a ton. So I think I'm gonna try to get a little bit of reading time in right now. I'm just making myself some dinner and gonna like relax on the couch and read. Tomorrow I'm also not gonna do a ton of reading. I think this is why like I keep having like insights as we continue through the week, but this is kind of why when I am thinking about how much I can read, I know that like on a given day when I'm not super busy, I can read over 100 pages. But then I have a day like today or tomorrow where I already know I'm not gonna read nearly as much. And so then I'm like, that's crazy. Like, why am I not reading or like going through books as fast as I think I should? And it's because I have one really big reading day and then one really slow reading day. So it happens, but you know what? I'm enjoying my books so far. This one, A Court of Silver Flames, is kind of interesting. I'm still like intrigued by the dynamic between Nesta and Feyre, because I just feel like to some degree, Nesta is still thinking about herself and not really about her sister or like anything that her sister went through. But also Feyre is acting like Nesta's mom out of nowhere, and it's like, whoa, you can't just do that. And also Nesta is actually older. Why are you treating her this way? But also Nesta is being kind of annoying. So I don't know, like, what do you do? I guess if you're her sister and you see that someone's being annoying, then that's what you do, is you intervene. And then on the other hand, this one is just genuinely so like, I don't even know what to say about it. Like, the mystery is intriguing. I want to know like who committed the murder, but I'm more almost fascinated by the fact that this book is nearly 20 years old. And whoa, that was crazy. I did not realize that this book was 20 years old until I said that out loud. But yeah, nearly 20 years old. And so just like the difference in life, like her talking about having to print out a MapQuest paper because she like needs to know how to get somewhere, things like that are just like fascinating. And just the fact that I've also owned this book for nearly 20 years is interesting. I like reading books that I don't hear a lot about on the internet, because I feel like I get a lot of opinions on the internet, which love the internet for that. But also like that doesn't mean that this book is not going to be a good book just because some of my favorite YouTubers haven't picked it up or talked about it. Our lights just turned on. Those are my thoughts so far. I am going to continue reading both of these. I think I'm going to read a few more pages of this one just so I can keep up with my 25 pages, because once I start slipping, I'm like not good at continuing that rhythm. I am going to go into the living room and go read, and I will keep you guys updated. Okay, I'm reading A Court of Silver Flames right now because I want to get to page 50 before the end of the night. Did you guys read this book? Like, do you guys not like Nesta as much as I'm not liking Nesta? Because I'm also not even on page 50 yet, so I'm sure she changes, but I remember in the other books not liking her, and now I'm reading and I still don't like her. Like, I don't know, this is why I was like nervous to read a whole book from her perspective. The whole like relationship between her and Feyre in all of the other books, according to Feyre's perspective, was that Nesta kind of like thought about herself only. Like, when they
had no money and no food and the whole thing. Feyre would be out hunting, which is how she got herself in all of this situation with the fairies and like the fairy realm. Nesta would just like take whatever money or food or whatever things that they had and like take them for herself, and would only think about herself and the whole thing. And now she's upset because she's spending her sister's money again, spending it on gambling and wine and the whole thing, partying. And then her sister's like, hey, you actually have to stop doing that because I'm ruling this court, so I'm gonna have you go train and like learn a new skill. And she's literally like, I'm not a thing to be controlled by you. And then in her head she's saying, everything in my life from the moment that I was born has been controlled by other people. Are you kidding, Nesta? Because everything that you've ever done, you've just like taken advantage of other people. Am I the crazy one? I don't know, but those are the thoughts so far. I'm intrigued to see because like everyone that I've seen rate this book has been like, oh yeah, I feel for Nesta, like I get where she's coming from, I see why. I need to understand because she's just kind of being crazy, like she's being selfish. I don't know, we're gonna find out some more. I'm gonna try to read to page 50 tonight, and then to go to bed I will read Down the Rabbit Hole, but I'm gonna read that on my Kindle and I just want to get through these pages for now. So let's see what happens. I probably realistically won't actually update you guys tonight because it's already 9 o'clock and I'm gonna go to bed at like 9:30 so I could wake up on time to get to my friend's house. But I will update you guys tomorrow morning probably to let you guys know where I was at, how many pages I read, and I'm hoping I can read an okay amount tomorrow, but I have kind of a busy day, so we'll see. Let's keep reading and I will see you guys in the morning. Hello guys, today's Friday. I am looking at the amount of pages that I've read and I can't remember where I last told you guys about like how many pages I read, but on Wednesday, I don't remember what I was doing, but I remember I got busy for some reason on Wednesday, so I didn't read a ton. And then yesterday I was over at a friend's house because we have book club once a month. I didn't read a ton, honestly. Like while I was there, I just was mostly working, and then on lunch breaks we like usually hang out, so it's not usually a big reading day when I'm at my friends for book club. So I have recaps. I figure let's just go over what it's been like for this like week so far. I just feel like I did really well at the top of the week, and then as the week has been progressing I've not been doing so hot, but that's okay because we also have the weekend, and this is why I always think I can read more than I actually can, because this is truly realistic as to like how much I read on a daily basis. So on day one, which was Monday, I read 132 pages. That was 100 pages of Book Lovers and then 32 pages of Down the Rabbit Hole, which is the other book that I'm reading. On Monday, I also finished Book Lovers. And then on day two, between Down the Rabbit Hole and A Court of Silver Flames, I read a total of 89 pages. I feel like day two was like, okay, that was like Tuesday, I was working, but I was also reading, so I did a good mix of the two things. Wednesday, oh, now I remember, I watched a movie, I watched Dune. Wednesday, I read 31 pages total between Down the Rabbit Hole and A Court of Silver Flames. And truly, like, I was a little annoyed with myself because I was like, I could have definitely finished Down the Rabbit Hole by this point, but also like there are so many other things that we're doing in life that sometimes you don't just like sit down and binge a whole book. And then yesterday was Thursday, and that was book club day. I read a total of 24 pages between Down the Rabbit Hole and A Court of Silver Flames. I am also a little behind on my Court of Silver Flames reading, but I've actually been enjoying the book. Like it's not the most realistic, if you know what I mean. Like it's a little ridiculous, and just like the way that the characters are interacting with each other is a lot, but I am enjoying it. Down the Rabbit Hole, I'm also enjoying. I understand now why a lot of the reviews were talking about how like the Alice in Wonderland type references were very superficial. I feel like we're kind of moving away from the murder mystery and like into just like our main character's life. I'm hopeful that we'll move back into the murder mystery soon because that's where I'm intrigued, but I do want to see what happens. I'm like 40% of the way through that book. So we're gonna do some reading today. It's almost my lunch break. It's like 12:15. I usually go on lunch break around 12:30. So I actually went to go work at Starbucks this morning, so I'm not actually hungry. So I'm gonna go sit outside and read with P. It's just a beautiful day, and yeah, let's get some reading in. I feel like the last 2 days I can feel that I haven't read much of my books, and I'm really in that reading spirit and really wanting to read. So I just want to see how much we can get done today. Let's get to it. Also, again, this is just like realistically how much I read. It's not the reality to read 100+ pages on a daily basis when you also have a 9-to-5 and it's like not your job to read. I like to add that refresher in here every now and then because I think sometimes we are consuming content from creators who their full-time jobs are content creation, which is so lovely. And I think a lot of us wish that we could have that or like aspire to have a life like that, but it's not realistic to be reading 100+ books in
a year when you also have so many other things to do, or maybe you're just a slower reader, or you have other hobbies or a job or whatever your life is. Like, I just like to add in the reminder to not compare yourself too heavily. And I personally really love watching and filming these like realistic reading vlogs for that reason. Just my little PSA. But let's go outside, let's go read and just enjoy some sunshine.
Hello you guys, I am currently reading Down the Rabbit Hole. Hopefully you guys can't hear my laundry too bad, but I am on chapter 15 and there are 30 chapters, but I'm not quite 50% of the way through, but I'm almost there. So we just have a little bit more reading to do before we get there. But I had another observation, and I think I mentioned this earlier on in this vlog. It's very interesting to me because Ingrid, I think, who is our main character, she's about 12 years old, if I remember correctly. She's like 12 or 13, something along those lines. The book kind of like took a pause on talking about like the murder and was just really talking about like Ingrid and her life and the whole thing, which to an extent, like, you need to know about your main character, so I kind of get it. But I feel like it took a little bit too much of a detour and then it came back around. But it's kind of talking more about like Ingrid cares mostly about the fact that her shoes were found at the crime scene and about potentially being implicated as a part of this crime, in comparison to like caring about who actually murdered this person. Like, it's a pretty serious crime and she's just like, oh my god, my shoes. There's a photo of my shoes in the house. What am I gonna do? Which is interesting. In addition to that, she's being driven home by the police chief and she starts asking him questions about like, I don't know, like, why do you guys think that these people did it if you have no motive? Like, how do you know that it was them? Because she doesn't think that the murderers were actually the murderers. His responses are just like telling her everything about the case. Like, oh, well, actually the case is really untidy. Like, the crime scene wasn't very good. We aren't positive that those are the murderers. Like, so many details that a police chief would never give a 12-year-old kid. But anyway, that's all I have really to say. So I'm gonna keep reading and I will update you guys when I have more to talk about. Okay, it's a bit later now and I thought I would tell you guys some more thoughts on Down the Rabbit Hole. I wrote a couple thoughts down just because, I don't know, I was just like kind of writing them down while I was reading. I was like reading in the bath and stuff like that. So the first one is our main character steals a key from her mom. So her mom is a real estate agent. Basically, she's selling the house of like these people who were arrested because the police think that they're the ones who committed the murder. And she doesn't think that they're the ones who did it. So she's trying to steal the key for the house that they lived in before they were arrested. Out of nowhere, it's just like 10 minutes later, she had the key in her pocket. Doesn't explain anything about it. Doesn't take you through the whole process, which I think would have been so much more fun, honestly. Something else that I noted was that her parents are just like never around. There's a part where she ends up grounded because her parents just like don't trust her at this point. She's like, supposedly her teachers think that she's cheating in math class, things like that. And her parents are like pretty disappointed in her, so she gets grounded, but she is still allowed to like do things that she's already like her responsibilities. So she's, for example, in the play, like the local play, so they let her go to practice or rehearsal, whatever it's called, that kind of thing. But when she is done, she's like literally waiting around for hours for her parents and they don't pick her up. And this is not the first time that this happened. It's like consistent and her parents are just like not around. And so this allows her to just like have free reign and just be like, oh, I'm gonna go wherever, which is interesting. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't feel like, I think maybe if this book was set in like the 80s, that could be more normal. 2006, I don't feel like that was necessarily the case. I could be wrong, but I am beyond the 50% mark now. I was realizing that around the 50% mark, our main character, Ingrid, she's finally at a point where she's realizing she's the one who has to solve this murder, which I think is gonna just like make the whole book kind of pick up a lot faster. I actually didn't read any of my other book today, so I only read this one, but I also don't feel like I've read a ton. But I'm gonna start heading off to bed. It's already 10 o'clock and I'm gonna read to go to bed, so I will update you guys on how many chapters or how many pages I read in the morning, because I don't know what I'm gonna end off on. And then tomorrow I will definitely focus in on my other book as well, because I really just gave this one some love today. Let's head off and I will let you guys know where we're at in the morning. Good morning, guys. Today's Saturday. I have a feeling that we'll do a lot more reading this weekend than I've been doing during the week. But last night I ended up reading no pages of A Court of Silver Flames, but I did read Rabbit Hole, and I read 90 pages. So I feel like that's actually pretty decent in comparison to all of the other days. Let's see how much we read today. I was reading a little bit this morning. I'm just gonna make myself some coffee. I don't have too many plans this weekend. I mostly want to like clean up around the house. I'm going to pickleball this morning with some friends, and then just like some workouts as usual. I'm like hanging out with P. He's already brought me his ball. He just like picks it up and drops it in front of whoever he wants to play with. And then if that person doesn't play with him, he'll pick it up and he'll go to the next person and drop it. It's really funny. So anyway, that's the plan. Because we don't have very many plans, I feel like we'll do a good amount of reading this weekend. But I also want to like watch a movie and have some editing to do. So we shall see. So I'm going to start getting ready now, have some coffee because we're supposed to meet with our friends at 9 and it's 7 right now. So I'm going to have like a slow morning and then get ready and go. I think I'm going to still read. I'm in like a really good spot of the rabbit hole. I do still feel like I wish it was like a little faster, but the like mystery part is like really picking up. Like she's listening to recordings, she's like lying to the police, like all of that kind of stuff that I feel like is always like the fun part about a murder mystery book. So it's actually like picking up a lot, which I'm grateful for. Let's keep reading. Let's see if we can finish it today because I think I only have like 2 hours left of the book. I can imagine that I could probably finish it today, and then we'll focus in on A Court of Silver Flames. I'm not sure why I always misremember how much time I have left in my book, but I actually had 3 hours, not 2 hours left. But before I got ready, I read for about an hour, like 45 minutes to an hour. So I have just over 2 hours left now. So I'm gonna head off and go play pickleball for a little bit. I feel like I read quite a bit already this morning and the book is really picking up pace. Like I'm really enjoying the last 50% of this book. I just feel like the first 50%, like we really got in depth about who our character was and what she likes to do. But the second half is great. I really like it. So I'm at, I think, if I remember correctly, my book is in the bedroom, but I think I'm at like the 70% mark. So we're gonna go play pickleball and then we'll come back and read and hopefully finish the book. I can't explain how nice it is outside right now. It's 76 degrees and it's like perfect. We played pickleball this morning with some friends and then we went off to brunch and I tried to take a nap but I wasn't able to sleep. So I've been reading and I am on chapter 27 and there are 30 chapters, so I only have this much left of the book, which I don't know how many pages that is in the Kindle edition, but in this like small book edition it's like 35 pages or 40 pages, something like that. It's interesting because I'm so close to the end and yet I still don't really know who is the murderer, or like we're not any closer. I feel like usually this is where we're kind of getting some wrap up, but I can't tell. Like I don't know if because this is a YA novel that it's going to be the person that I've been suspecting all along, or if someone's just gonna like come out of left field. But there are pretty much no suspects aside from like this one person. If I read this when I had purchased it, I think this would be a 5-star. If I'm reading it now, I feel like it's like a 3. Let's finish it and see who murdered. Like I'm at a point where I'm like, are we even gonna learn who our murderer is? But helicopter. Let's figure out who did it. Okay, I just finished the book. I think I'm between a 2 and a 3-star. I know that sounds pretty harsh, but I feel like, I don't know, it wasn't my favorite book. I just feel like the person who it was like one of those things where the person was obvious but you didn't know how it was all tied together. So I did enjoy that, but I feel like then the wrap up was like really fast, like incredibly fast. Like out of nowhere it was like the last chapter was I think like 4 pages of these like tiny small pages, and it was like on Thursday this happened, on Friday this happened, on Saturday this happened, on Sunday this happened, and it was like that was in 4 paragraphs, and the rest of the story just like got tied up so fast because we didn't learn who the murderer was or like how they had anything to do with the story until the second to last chapter. There's also like a bonus chapter in the end and I was like, oh okay, I'll read it. Like seems cute. It's like our main character and she's having a dinner with like the boy that she likes and his dad, but then they're like talking about a mystery author and then it's like, oh, who's the, like, what's his name? Peter Abrahams. I'm sorry, I can't, he wrote himself into his own chapter. Like, I didn't read the rest of the chapter. I just wasn't interested after that. Funny enough, that is kind of what made me want to move it to 2 stars, even though that has nothing to do with the book necessarily. I just feel like you could kind of tell this was his first YA novel. It seems like he actually usually writes adult fiction or like adult mystery novels. I just feel like it was a little too kiddish, if that makes sense. When I think of YA novels, I think of like The Girl's Guide to Murder, which, like, despite it being YA, it was still so deep and the mystery was so interesting and there was just like so much depth to our characters. This one didn't really have that, so I don't know, but I feel mean giving it 2 stars because I did enjoy like the story. It just didn't feel like a mystery. It just felt like a fiction novel. So I think I'm gonna give it a beat before I rate it, but I'm gonna go grab my Kindle so that I can see how many pages I actually read, because I'm using the Kindle pages, not these pages, since there's more pages in this book, but it's a lot smaller. And then I think I'm going to try to read the rest of my pages of A Court of Silver Flames. Once I finish with those, I'm gonna go into, what was the book that I was gonna read by Alice Feeney? I think it's called Beautiful Ugly. I've been meaning to read that one, as you guys probably saw, I think on like Monday or Tuesday I mentioned it. I think I'll pick that one up as like my main book after I'm done with my Sarah J Maas pages. I'm just still thinking about this book. I don't know, I just, sometimes like you read a book and you're like, it wasn't the best book in the world, but I still had a fun time, you know? What do you rate those books? Anyway, okay, let me go grab my other book. I'm gonna see how many pages I read, write it down. I'll recap you guys later on the pages, but I think I'm gonna end up giving it a 2. I feel bad saying that. Good morning, you guys. I just dumped my entire coffee. Oh my god. I just dumped my entire coffee thing. This has like whole coffee beans. I dumped a bunch of them behind the cabinet thing. They're like in the windowsill and I can't get them out. So here we are. I had a really good reading day yesterday. I wanted to tell you guys about it. But before I do, I realized I had some other thoughts about Down the Rabbit Hole. There were some parts where the dad in the family, he was like kind of being weird. Like he wasn't at work. He wasn't at home. His wife thought he was at work. His boss was like, where is he? And none of that got explained. Like, I don't know if he was just having marital issues, if he was having an affair, if he was doing something else. Like, I have no idea. I just feel like that was a loose end that did not get tied up. So anyway, I started Beautiful Ugly yesterday as well. I'm not very far into it. I'm only a couple of chapters in and the chapters are pretty short, but basically so far what it seems to be about is this author who is married. He's super excited because he's hoping to be on the New York Times bestseller list and he's waiting for a phone call from his publisher or from his agent, and he wishes his wife was home, but she's on the way, and he's just like, I'm sort of disappointed that she's not physically here with me because this is a really big moment. And then he gets the phone call, he gets added to the New York Times bestseller list, and he's so thrilled. He calls her and she picks up. She's thrilled for him. She's like, I'm almost home. And then something happens. Like, he hears something happen on the phone. Like, she sees somebody in the street. She's like, hold on, I'm gonna go see what's up. And she's also being followed because she's an investigative journalist. So he's like, no, like, don't get out of the car, just call the police. But she doesn't listen, and then she disappears. So we don't know what happened to her. We fast forward 1 year and he's not been able to really write because he's so sad about his wife. And so his agent, who was also basically a family member to the wife, is like, hey, I have this cabin that I haven't been to yet. Take it, go write, like, go focus on what you need to focus on. So I don't know exactly which direction we're gonna go in with this book. I think it's supposed to be like a bit of a thriller, so I don't know if someone's gonna come after him or if he's gonna try solving his wife's disappearance, or like which direction we're gonna go in. At some point when this was published, I think this was published in 2025 or really late 2024. But at some point I did read the synopsis and it sounded interesting, but it's gotten mixed reviews. So I kind of just like waited to read it, but I think now is the time. It became available on my Libby app and I just feel like, why not? I am intrigued. I feel like I really feel for the main character already, even only a couple of chapters in, which is a really good sign. And Alice Feeney's writing is just fantastic as a whole. Anyway, those are the thoughts on the books. Recapping what I read yesterday. So Down the Rabbit Hole, I read from page 216 to 380. A Court of Silver Flames, I only read 10 pages, 52 to 62. And then Beautiful Ugly, I read 24 pages, so 1 to 24. And I read a total of 198 pages yesterday, which was a really,
really, really good reading day. I haven't had a reading day like that in a while, so I am intrigued to see how much we read today. I'm gonna make my coffee now and I'm going to get ready for the day and just kind of wake up a little bit. And I don't know, I think we have like minimal plans today. There's some like beer craft fest thing happening nearby, so I thought that would be kind of fun, but otherwise just like our standard day, like nothing big. So let's make our coffee and let's get to reading.
Okay, it's a little later and I'm still reading both of my books. I think I am like 15% of the way through. Yeah, 15% of the way through Beautiful Ugly. And I have no idea how far I am in this book. I'm on page 97. So I think I'm on chapter 8, if I remember correctly. Both of them I feel like I'm enjoying and they're good, but they're just both kind of a little slow. In Beautiful Ugly right now, what's going on is our main character, he is told by his book agent to head off to this remote cabin that used to belong to a different author, but that person passed away, and so now it's just kind of sitting there. And so she's like, head off over there so that you can actually write, because he hasn't been able to write in a while because he's so focused on the fact that he doesn't know where his wife is, and like she's been gone for about a year now. So we're just getting to the island and I think that's where everything is going to take place. It does feel a little slow. I feel like, I don't know how many pages I'm in. I'm on page 45, so I guess that's not really a lot to go off of. So maybe I should just not say that it's slow and I just need to read more. With A Court of Silver Flames, I feel like I've been trying to give this one a little bit more love just because it's a longer book and I want to make sure that I get through it. Sort of same idea. When a book is 750 pages and I'm about 100 pages in, it's sort of just starting and there's not a whole lot to report back on, but basically our main character, I feel like I'm getting re-immersed in this story. So our main characters are Nesta and Cassian in this book. We just found out some information about a potential, maybe what's going to be sort of like the war in this book. I don't know actually if that's what's going to happen or if it's going to be something else. But other than that, Cassian is just really clearly in love with Nesta, and Nesta is probably going to end up falling in love with him. But for right now, she's just been kind of mean. I don't really love her, but I hope that there's some character growth. We're going to read some more of these two today, see how far we get along in those. I think that's kind of it. I feel like it's hard because I'm in, again, the beginnings of both of these books, so I don't have too much to talk about these books, but I'll let you guys know when I have more info and once I've read some more. Okay, I'm currently just starting. I didn't read a ton today so far, but I just started back off, so I'm like 2 pages in from where I was earlier. I feel like Nesta and Cassian are actually finally starting to kind of joke with each other. That's definitely going to be step 1, is that like she's okay with joking with him, like she's not as angry anymore and that kind of idea. And obviously eventually they will fall in love together because that's just like what I know that this book does. So it is interesting to see her start to like almost defrost from everything else that she's been experiencing. I feel like as I've sat with this book a little bit longer, I understand why she's such an angry person, but at the same time, I feel like the things that she remembers are almost like misguided. She feels like her sister was such a bad person toward her and all of these other things, and the things that she has experienced are like pretty bad, but I just feel like she also put so much blame on her sister when it's not really deserved. Like again, it's just put in the wrong direction. Crazy that I'm warming up to her because I kind of hate her as a person, but okay, we only have a few more pages until like maybe 6 or 7 more pages until end of the chapter. So I'm gonna read a little bit more of this and then I'll hopefully dive into my other book. I've been kind of focusing in on this one today, but I have not really been focusing on either because I just recently started Severance and that's been so good and taking up so much of my time. So there's that, but we're gonna get back into this and let's just see how this chapter ends and then we'll switch over to Beautiful Ugly. Hello you guys, it's a bit later. 10:20 p.m. It's very late. I just showered. Unfortunately, Severance has kind of like taken over my life. I cannot believe that I have not seen the show up until this point. And I just started season 1 like a day or two ago, and I'm already on season 2, which I'm grateful that I have 2 seasons to binge, because I can't imagine having season 1's finale being like what I leave off on. But also I already know that season 2's finale is going to be insane. So anyway, that's my severance talk for the night. With that being said, I didn't really do as much reading as I was anticipating. I feel like I read a decent amount, but I didn't read as much as I was hoping for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head off to bed, and I'm going to read Beautiful Ugly to doze off to, and then in the morning I will just update you guys. It'll be Monday morning, but I'll just update you guys then about like how many pages I read and the whole thing, because I think that'll just be a lot easier, because I have no idea how much I'm gonna read tonight. I will check in with you guys bright and early in the morning when I wake up, but otherwise hopefully we get an okay amount. I have actually no idea how much I've even read today, so I will calculate all of that in the morning. I'm gonna head off. I will see you then.
Hello you guys, happy Monday. It is 7:45 right now, so I'm just getting ready for work, but I figured I would tell you guys all of the numbers and all of the things that we read. So I actually only read 66 pages yesterday, part of that being from A Court of Silver Flames, part of that being from Beautiful Ugly. I feel like I need to give this one some more time. Unfortunately, I can't believe that I've never seen Severance before, and then of course I chose to start it on a whim this week, and now I have to finish it so that I can literally do anything, because that's how my brain works for TV. It's like I need to know. But anyway, I did read some of this last night. I felt like it was going slow, but I think I just haven't put a lot of effort into reading this, because I'm still only on page I don't know, maybe 50 by this point. Last night I read to page 46, for example. This morning I was reading my Kindle while walking pee. It's like my new thing that I've been doing. I used to read on my phone, on the Kindle app, but I just now bring my Kindle and not my phone, and it's the most peaceful walk ever. But anyway, I was reading on my Kindle and something insane happened, and so now I feel like it's totally picking up, and I'm super excited to read it. I just want to do this all day. So I'm very, very excited about this, and I just think that I was personally reading slow. It was not the book's fault by any means. But to give you guys some numbers, yesterday I read a total of 66 pages. So the grand total across all 7 days was 630, which I feel like is pretty decent. If you kind of average that out, that's roughly 90 pages per day. And I feel like that's pretty okay. That's sort of what I was expecting. I thought that I could read probably about 100 pages a day, and I think that I was realizing on the 2 days that I read the most, which was Monday of last week, 132 pages, and also Saturday, which was 198 pages, I was finishing books on those days. And I feel like when I'm finishing a book, if I have 150 pages left of a book, I'm like, I could do that today, no problem, no questions asked. But if I have 200 pages, then I'm like, that's a 2-day stretch, which I think in actuality, clearly, first of all, I can read 200 pages in a day based off of Saturday's numbers, but I do think that I could probably read more. I just have other things that I'm doing as well. So obviously I'm not sitting and reading for my entire life, but those are sort of my thoughts. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that whenever I'm finishing a book, I tend to read more, and I'm assuming it's just because I want to know what's gonna happen or how something is gonna end or just be done with it already. That was just pretty insightful for me. I feel like it was also just fun to, I've done a couple of these types of challenges now, or not quite challenge, this wasn't really a challenge, it was just fact finding almost, but I've done a few of these types of videos at this point that I kind of know myself well enough that I think I do read roughly 100 pages a day, so that felt pretty accurate. And that makes sense too, because I think on average I read 2 to 3 hours per day. Anyway, as a numbers person, I very much enjoy just understanding more of how I'm doing and how much I'm actually reading. I feel like a lot of times too, things happen in books and you think you're reading more, and then you're like, I've read 20 pages, what's happening? So that's also very interesting, which is exactly what happened in Beautiful Ugly, when I thought that I was so much further along and I was 40 pages in. But that is all I have for you guys today, because it is the end of the week at this point. So I hope you guys enjoyed as well. Thank you so much for watching and being here, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.